Round 3 has Russia purchasing 6 infantry and 1 artillery and just placing them in Moscow. Only other thing they can really do is just place another infantry over here to prevent that Japanese tank from totally blitzing through there. We move on to Germany's turn. They're just going to take everything they have here and those 4 fighters and go ahead and attack Russia, see if they can take Moscow out of the game there. And for the Western Front over here, they're going to attack here with 2 tanks and 3 infantry to try to throw the US troops out of France there. And they're also going to use what they have left of their navy and a fighter and a bomber and attack the Allied fleet stationed there off the coast of France. So let's see how this pans out, if the Germans can take Moscow in this round right here. So this is the ending battle for the Battle of Moscow. We have the Germans there. They have 4 fighters and a tank attacking out of 3 or less, and we're down to 3 fighters out of 4 or less there for the Allies. Germany rolls first there, so we have 1 hit there for the fighters. And now the tank rolls, see if they can get a 3 or less. Nope, they got a 6. So now the 3 fighters are going to fire. It's a 4 or less for them. Oh, we got 3 hits there, so we're going to take 3 fighters because we want to try and save the tank to see if the tank can take control of Moscow and get all of Moscow's IPCs here. So we got two rolls out of 3 or less here for a hit. That is 1 hit there, so 1 fighter's dead. So now the 2 fighters defend back at a 4 or less. There is a hit there, so we're going to lose that. So now it just comes down to tank versus a fighter. And we're going to keep this legit so you can see what actually happens here, that we don't make it up. We leave it depend on the dice roll. So this is for Moscow. The German tank rolls a 6. And the fighter fires back. They get a 6. So now the tank's going to fire again. The tank gets a 3, so that knocks the fighter out. The fighter has to get a 4 or less, or else all IPCs of Moscow will go to Germany. So this roll here is possibly the game. And we did get a 3. So that leaves us with a total tie here at Russia. So Russia holds just barely. There are no remaining units there for either side as the battle is over for Russia in this round 3. This is what the end of Germany's round 3 turn looks like after the end of non-combat moves there. Over here, you see they purchased units, 2 tanks in Kalyria and 2 tanks in Germany, as well as 2 infantry and an artillery. Their battleship survived to win the sea battle over here, taking out the Allied fleet. So their battleship lives on to continue causing havoc. We are now at the end of round 3. You can see there with the poker chips how much money each country has to spend. Going for round 4. U.S. continues to buy transports and troops to hold on to France here and hopefully invade Germany pretty soon with the help from the British. The 2 British fighters there took out the German battleship in this round, so the German Navy now is just reduced to this transport here. Into Russia, the British supported troops flew their aircraft from India over to Russia to do what we can to keep Russia in the game. As you see now, the Japanese are actually threatening to attack Moscow and Russia. And you see they're controlling all of eastern Russia and China. Down here, in India, the British supported troops and tanks are doing what they can to wage war against Japan. Japan has a huge navy now. The U.S. Navy decided to regroup and go back to the west coast. in naval battle, it's basically the defender is the big winner. The attacker has a rough time in naval battles. So the US is going to have to start building up their navy here, because for 2 turns now they've just been solely focusing on the East Coast with trying to take Germany out. So we'll move on to round 4 here. There's a final view of what round 3 looked like. And on to round number 4. Into round 4, Axis and Allies, 1942. It's desperate times here for Russia and Germany. This is after Russia's turn. They purchased as much infantry as they could to help defend Moscow. It's Germany's turn. They're just attacking with what they have left there. Probably won't be able to take it over, but we got Japan in the other side of them. They are very threatening to perhaps take Moscow over in their turn. And over here on Germany's Western Front, they're using what they have left there to attack the US forces there to try and regain France once again. Germany retakes France, but they don't fare well in their battle for Moscow. They lose all their troops with bad rolls, and Russia only loses 1 infantry in the first round. So that battle didn't go well for the Germans. And on to England's turn, they're gonna go down here and attack the German troops in Libya there, and they're also gonna go over here and attack the Japanese infantry over here and recapture this for the United States. So they gain 1 and Japan loses 1. They're going to take their tanks from India and go and attack the infantry here in Russian territory and see how this all works out for them. So England gets control of French Indochina from the Japanese. They're going up 2 points. They take this away from China here, 2 points up for Russian territory there. And they also, at the end, they do a strategic bombing raid with their bomber in Moscow on the industrial complex that the Germans owns there. So it's different from other versions in this game. In this game, there's the anti-aircraft is built into the industrial complex. They didn't roll a 1 or less, so then the bomber rolled a 5. So in this game, that's a chip of 5 values placed under the industrial complex. So since Germany owns that, for them to produce again for that one, they'd have to, I believe they would have to pay 5 IPCs to get it back to full value, because that one's only worth two points there. So if they pay 4 points, they can just produce only 1 unit there, and if they pay 5 IPCs, then it's back to full production of 2 units for them there. That's how that works in this game. So on to Japan's turn, they're gonna go in here and see what they can do, if they can take control of Moscow here, and that's about the only combat that they're gonna do here. So let's see how this rolls out. Again, this is another huge battle here. So Japan is not able to take control of Russia in this turn around 4. They fly their aircraft back here to not lose them in the battle. And as far as over here, they're gonna go into Alaska here and take control of Alaska. That'll get the US fleet's attention here to see what they want to do here on their turn at the end of round 4. And as far as what Japan purchases for units, they buy a bomber and a destroyer for the mainland, and they purchase 3 tanks to put over here in Manchuria. So now we're on to the US's turn here for round number 4. So this is the end of round 4, Axis and Allies 1942. We see the US there, they bulked up their fleet. They have a bunch of destroyers there and a cruiser on the other side of the aircraft carrier. Destroyers only attack and defend at a 2 or less in this game. It was 3 or less in the other versions, but they only cost 8 IPCs in this game. And cruisers cost 12 IPCs, and they attack and defend at a 3 or less. So there we see what the Japanese and US Navy looks like at the end of round 4 here. And as far as over here again, if Russia can hold off the German attack here on Moscow in round 5, the game may finally switch into the favor of the Allied powers in this one. And you can see here the chart here, Russia is really hurting on the IPC chart. The US, with having again control of France at the end of this round, they're all the way up to 42. There we have Germany and Japan and England fairly close to each other. And we'll see, Russia is only going to be able to buy about 5 troops to put in here. They only have 15 IPCs, so they'll have to hold that with 5 troops purchased there and probably move their troops from the Caucasus over there to see if they can fend off what'll probably be this last German invasion here, as they are going to have to now defend themselves against the US and the British here from being taken over here from Western Europe. So, all right, let's see how round 5 plays out.